In 1927, the Mississippi River flooded everything. Farmers climbed to the top of a 55-foot mound to survive. The cows and horses did too. Nobody knew what they were standing on. The Great Mississippi Flood of 1927 was the most destructive river flood in American history. It drowned 27,000 square miles of land across 7 states. The delta went underwater for months. Entire communities disappeared beneath the current. And when the water came, farmers and their animals climbed the highest ground they could find. In Washington County, that meant Winterville. They were standing on the tallest ancient mound between Natchez and Cahokia, a ceremonial center 1,000 years old, the most important political and religious site in the lower Mississippi Valley for 200 years. And in Greenville, Mississippi, most people still don't know it's there. This is Winterville Mounds. 55 feet tall, 23 mounds originally, arranged around 2 open plazas built almost entirely between 1200 and 1250 AD, an extraordinarily compressed construction window for a project this size. Mound A, the Temple Mound, is the center of everything. 2 ramps lead up its sides. From the summit, you can see the entire complex and the Mississippi Delta stretching flat in every direction. At its peak, this was not a city. That's the detail that makes Winterville unusual among major Mississippian sites. Most people did not live here. Archaeological evidence shows the Winterville people lived on scattered family farms across the Yazoo-Mississippi River Delta, sometimes miles away. Only the highest-ranking officials occupied the mound center permanently. Everyone else arrived for ceremonies, then went home. This was a place you came to when something mattered. Rituals, political gatherings, alliances sealed in public view of the whole community. The kind of events that require a space designed for spectacle, not for daily life. Here's where the story starts to get uncomfortable. Nobody fully knows what those ceremonies involved. Archaeologists have found evidence of elite burials inside Mound A, 7 chiefs, according to the museum on site, buried in layers, each one above the last, as if the mound itself was accumulating authority over generations. The mound has 8 visible layers. 1 burial has not been accounted for. The largest mound has 8 layers, 7 known chiefs, 1 layer nobody has yet explained. That's not a number that closes cleanly, but the fire is the part that changes everything. In the late 1300s, something burned down the temple on top of Mound A. Not slowly, not from neglect. The archaeological evidence describes a conflagration, a burn event significant enough to be clearly readable in the stratigraphy 8 centuries later, a layer of ash and charred wood pressed into the soil at a depth that tells you exactly when this site changed. The temple was gone. Whatever rituals had been performed in that structure, whatever objects had been kept inside, whatever the view from that summit had meant to the people who climbed to it, all of it ended in a single event. And here's what makes it strange. They didn't rebuild it. After the fire, construction stopped at Winterville. The mound was still used for some time after that. People still came. Ceremonies of some kind still occurred. Traces of continued activity visible in the soil above the burn layer. But no new temple was raised on the summit. The site that had been the most important ceremonial center in the region for 2 centuries simply stopped adding to itself. And then, within a generation or two, Winterville ceded its regional dominance to a new ceremonial complex to the south at Lake George. Nobody has explained the fire. Nobody knows whether it was accident, deliberate destruction by enemies, or ritual burning. A deliberate end to one chapter, a closing ceremony for the entire complex. The fire sits at the center of this site's history and remains completely unresolved. Here's something the standard summary of this site rarely mentions. Some researchers believe the construction surge between 1200 and 1250 was directly connected to Cahokia's collapse further north. When Cahokia's population began to decline around 1200, Trade routes shifted across the entire Mississippian world. Political alignments reorganized. Power vacuums opened across a vast network of connected communities. And down in the Mississippi Delta, Winterville Mounds exploded into its most ambitious building phase almost simultaneously, constructing most of its major earthworks within a single compressed generation. Were Cahokian refugees arriving with new building techniques and political energy, bringing the ambitions of a dying northern city to a rising southern one? Were local Plaquemine leaders deliberately expanding their power into the vacuum left by Cahokia's retreat, positioning Winterville as the new center of a reorganizing world? The pottery styles at Winterville say there was intense, sustained contact between the two sites. The construction dates align suspiciously closely. Architectural similarities in the mound arrangements point in the same direction, but the direct human connection hasn't been proven in a way that closes the question. Then came 1939. By the late 1930s, agricultural expansion was eating Mississippian sites across the Delta at a pace nobody was tracking closely enough to stop. Farmland was more valuable than archaeology. Mounds that had survived 1,000 years of weather and war were going under the plow one growing season at a time, their contents scattered into the turned earth without record. Winterville was next. The Greenville Garden Club bought 41 acres. Not the state, not the federal government, not a university or a foundation or a national preservation society. A garden club, 41 acres of Washington County, Mississippi farmland, purchased by a local civic organization specifically to stop a plow from reaching the Temple Mound, paid for out of resources a group of Greenville women organized and raised themselves. Their intervention is the reason Winterville is still here. Without that purchase, in that specific year, the mound that had survived everything since the 1300s would likely have been gone by the time any formal protection arrived. The site was designated a National Historic Landmark in 1993. The Mississippi Department of Archives and History took over administration in 2000. Both came decades after the Garden Club saved it. Years later, a historian researching the 1927 flood found an old photograph. The river had risen catastrophically that year, the worst flood in American recorded history to that point. The delta went underwater for months. In the photograph, cows and horses had climbed to the top of the Winterville Mounds to escape the rising water, standing exactly where priests had stood 700 years earlier. The museum curator at the time saw the photograph and felt something she described as haunting. She had lived in the area her entire life and had only learnt the mounds existed 13 years before. Everyone in Greenville drove past the sign. Almost nobody stopped. Today, 12 of the original 23 mounds remain inside the park boundary. The others were leveled by farming and highway construction before protection arrived. The museum is on site, 2 walking trails, a reconstruction drawing of what the complex looked like at its height, when every mound had a structure on its summit, and the plazas below were full of people who had traveled from across the delta to be there. And at the center of it all, Mound A still stands. 8 layers of accumulated earth and authority, 7 known chiefs, 1 layer still unaccounted for, a burned temple nobody has explained, a fire that ended 200 years of regional dominance and was never fully rebuilt, 1,000 years of weather and farming later, a 1927 flood, a garden club, and most of Greenville still doesn't know it's there. If this is a story you've never heard, you already know what to do. Subscribe and go find the next file they didn't want opened.